Welcome to class 8 students. This is the continuation part of the chapter food production and its management. This is the third part, and in my previous two videos I have completed till the different types of crops grown in India, page number 113. I hope it is clear to you all. From agricultural tasks and practices you will have to learn the full thing. All the lines are very important. They have quite important information, so full thing till agricultural implements you will have to learn very well. Next, I have talked about the different types of crops grown in India, but that one you can just read through it. You don't need to learn anything from this topic. Okay, under crops grown in India only we have a classification of the crop plants. This one is very important. So what are the two types of crops based on the purpose of cultivation? Why are these crops cultivated? Depending on that, there are two types of crops. Number one is food crops, and number two is cash crops. So we are going to talk about both, and this particular classification is based on the purpose of cultivation. Okay, now what are food crops? Food crops are grown for obtaining food. From the name only you can understand that these are mainly means only for obtaining food. For example, cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables are all food crops. Okay, now in the next page you will find different categories under food crop. Now I have already said the different categories, the names of the different categories, which are cereals, pulses, oil seeds, vegetables, fruits and spices, right? So within that you will find the different examples under each category. Like under cereals you will find the names of different crops like rice, wheat, maize, millets, and what nutrients are obtained from these crops. Okay, like from these cereals of rice, wheat, maize, millets we get carbohydrates. And next category is pulses like gram, black gram. All these things give us protein. Okay, these are all these are sources of proteins. Next we have the oil seeds, which give us fats, good fats, which are important for our body. And lastly, vegetables, fruits and spices, they give a variety of nutrients like vitamins, minerals, proteins. All these things are obtained from different kinds of vegetables, fruits and spices. Okay, so from this chart you just read a few names of the food crops and the category name and what type of nutrients are obtained from these types of crops. Okay, so now we are done with food crops. We will move forward with the next category, which is cash crops. So what are cash crops? These crops are grown for their commercial value to earn profit. From the name food crop you already understood that these crops are grown for food. From the cash crops it is very much clear that these crops are grown for cash, for money, for economic purposes of the economic betterment of the country, right? For example, cotton, tobacco, sugarcane, tea, coffee, jute, teak, rubber, all these are examples of cash crops. Now one line is very important for justification. You might get justification questions. The line is all food crops are cash crops, but all cash crops are not food crops, right? How can you justify this? How can you explain that this line is correct, this statement is correct? Okay, so food crops are grown for food mainly, but they are also sold in the market and they also give money, right? On the other hand, cash crops cannot be eaten. They are only for money purpose, right? So we can say that all food crops are cash crops because food crops can be eaten and can be sold, and money means we can get money. But cash crops are not food crops because they are not meant to be considered as a part of meal. Okay, means tea, coffee, sugarcane, these are also cash crops, but they are not part of a person's meal, right? So all cash crops are not food crops. So this one is very, very important. You will get an example here. A farmer can get cash by selling cotton, jute and rubber, but cannot eat them. The main difference between food crop and cash crop is very, very important. You will find it at the bottom of page number 114. Food crops and cash crops. First point is the definition between the two. Food crops, the crops that are grown to obtain food are called food crops, and the crops that are grown for their commercial value to earn profit are called cash crops. So first point is the definition. Second point is whether they are edible or not edible. So food crops are obviously edible. From the name only we can understand that they are meant to be eaten. And for the cash crops, not all cash crops can be eaten, hence most of them are inedible. Like most of the cash crops except tea, coffee, sugarcane, all except these things, all are inedible. Okay. Thirdly, you will give examples of food crops and cash crops, and this difference is very, very important. Okay. Next type of classification of crops are based on their growing season, when they are grown. First one is the Rabi and second one is the Kharif. So these are the two types of crops based on their growing season. Crop plants are classified into two different types, Kharif crops and Rabi crops. Now the first one we are going to talk about is Rabi crops. You will get it in the second point in your book. These crops are grown during winter. Rabi crops are grown during winter, that is during October to December, and they are harvested in spring, which is March or April. Examples of Rabi crops include wheat, mustard, barley and peas. And Kharif crops are those crops which are grown during the monsoon season, which is June to July, and harvested in autumn, that is September or October. Examples include maize, rice, groundnut, cotton, jute, etc. All these are examples of Kharif crops. Okay, so crops can be classified in two ways. First one is based on the purpose of cultivation, and the types are food crops and cash crops. And the second one is based on their growing season, and the types are Rabi crops and Kharif crops. Okay. So till this much are the crops, different types of crops that are grown in India. Next we will be talking about horticulture. And horticulture is basically another branch of agriculture only that deals with the intensive production of vegetables, fruits, medicinal and ornamental plants. Okay, they are not it is not like that without the products from horticulture people will not be able to survive, but they are mostly for economic purposes, and also in today's life they are important. Okay, I am going to talk about horticulture in the next video, so I am keeping it till here in this video. Thank you.